Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
On today's episode, Icehead Gill. Welcome, everybody. This is me, Kermit the Grog, your chili axe master on the ones and twos with my Kratos compadre, Isekai Sensei Sama Brad over here.
Hello, boy.
Boy. Because he had a Norse Viking chili adventure. Today, as you heard, we're talking about the manga Shonen Jump series, Icehead Gill. Indeed.
Interesting series, I must say.
It is our first, and will not be the last by any stretch as we continue to go back, series that is done.
Womp, 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 womp.
Yeah. But to get the housekeeping out of the way, its first chapter came out June 25th of 2023, and its last chapter came out November 12th. 2023. 20 chapters. It got one more than the usual, I guess. I feel like 19's usually... Maybe 19 is when you hear about the cutoff happening.
I think that's right, because Shonen Flop's rule is 35 chapters, I believe.
Yeah, but like Jump's cut point is usually around, I think it's 19 to 20. So yeah, this one's our first actual flop. But obviously we can have our own opinions.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Cart before the horse.
I don't know if this is going to survive or not.
But it's important. You never know. We don't know. Who knows?
I only read one chapter.
It's not dead. There's only one chapter out. No, I know. Dummy. Baka. I don't like you. But yeah, this is Icehead Gill. Real quick before we get into our thoughts, we're going to go over a little summary about what it's about. So this is my attempt to speed run the summary. So bear with us as we figure out how to do this better. So Icehead Gill is about Gill Sol, a tiny child with an axe that lives in the royal capital, but is run out by angry people after his father supposedly killed the prince and his various warrior allies, and leaves town. Gill denies this, as such, because he thinks he's a great man, and attempts to escape the island with his axe. He crash lands on Urchin Island, and 2 years pass, like right away. It's like instant time skip. Move over One Piece, time skipping around chapter 800. We see he's working for Mela, the Damimami ruler of the island, who uses Gill to pull her sled and has him help squeeze the townspeople for tax money to pay for weapons. The urchin people put two and two together about Gill's past and are ready to rough him up when a rowdy warrior washes up on the shore. This seems to happen a lot here. But Gill is given a tiny baby axe and quickly KOs the large man, declaring, "No one can beat me when it comes to axes," which kind of became a joke among us because usually when a series is cut short, it is axe. Not a pun I think the Japanese know, which made it extra funny. We learn that bad people become liches in death. Cut to Lich appearing on the island mysteriously elsewhere. Back home, Gill remembers his, I'm assuming, father's words that savagery is not strength, again, while Mela Damimami ties up and kills the thug from earlier. Mela returns home to Gill, and the two share a silly, unfunny meal, sort of, but not really hating each other. Gill is given his father's journal he had when he crashed, but no time to read it. We're under attack by the Lich thing from earlier, who kills and inhabits the most visually distinct of the townspeople from earlier and cuts off Mela's arm. Gill and the Lich do combat. The Lich promises to not kill anyone who helps finish off Mela, which they do because she sucks. Gill somehow stops them all, and armed with his father's axe, fights and beheads the Lich. Reading his father's journal, Gill finds his father was researching and hunting liches, and armed with this info, leaves the island on the boat to the royal capital to figure out what's going on. This is the first chapter of Icehead Gill, a tiny Viking boy about axes on an adventure, and a very Viking-y adventure. I would say this is like if One Piece was Vikings instead of pirates, even though they're kind of technically the same thing.
I could see that. But I was more so just like, there was so much going on.
There's a lot. So I wrote the summary to help speed up the summary bit because that's not what the show is about, but I think it's important. And I'm just like, there's so much things happening all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like winnowing it down, and there's all this like banter, and it's just like, ah! It's One Piece. It's writing One Piece now, but at the beginning. Because it's like, it's trying to be silly and funny at moments, but it's also just like lore explosion.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's silly, but world building, which like you can do, but like your first chapter needs to like, I don't know. I guess, Brad, what were your thoughts on Isekai Sensei Sama? What were your thoughts?
I thought it was interesting. There, like I said, there was so much going on that it was sort of hard to pin down any individual point in it and go like, oh, what's developing here? What's going on? Because it was very much just a, let's do the whole origin story as quickly as possible to set out on an adventure. And it works in some ways and it doesn't work in other ways. But I have to say that I did enjoy the overall energy that it had going on. There was the way that they were going back and forth with, what was her name again? Mela. And how they were trying to show like, oh, she's being a bee, you know, like nobody likes her and everything. And then it's like, oh, but she had a good reason.
But it was dumb. Like that was the thing that pissed me off, because it's like they actually, like, again, One Piece does that a lot, where it's like, oh, you thought this person was bad, but actually they were doing good the whole time. But the way you saw it wasn't that, where it's like, oh, I'm taxing everybody to the point that they can barely pay for it to pay for weapons that I don't know who's using them, because there's seemingly no standing army to fight off the liches that no one but her seems to know about. And it's like, it seems just written without actually understanding how anything works. It's like, if you're taxing people to buy weapons, you need people to use the weapons. And people trained to use the weapons if you're fighting off these, like, otherworldly beings that come around after death. But clearly it didn't matter, because they're like, the island's so peaceful, even though people keep washing up on it that are problems. They also mention outside of what we literally see in the chapter.
There was definitely quite a bit of sort of like...
show, don't tell, but also show, but also tell, but also all those bits of information are sometimes at odds.
Well, it was like plot holes within like two panels of each other.
Yeah, or just confusing, like, no, this needs to go back into the oven. Like, this is half-baked. But there's nothing else here. It's not like, oh, this was cool. It's just like, you wanted to do this fairy tale thing, but it also didn't. It's like, she's having tiny baby Gill, who's this little potato child. He looks like a sack of potatoes with a big spiky head on him, pulling her sled through the snow like a snow dog. And it's like, why? Like, why are they such buds? Like, you don't see any of that. Like, why?
Yeah, there's definitely...
Why was she such a jerk? Why was she so needlessly cruel to everyone? But then they were like, yeah, but actually she was right, though. And she was keeping them safe from the liches. It's like, well, she didn't have to be a jerk or tax people to the point that they can barely feed their families to do that. Like, and our supposed hero, Gill, is just like, yeah.
It definitely raised a lot of questions that it didn't answer.
No, it has no interest in answering them. It cares about other lore that it's never going to get to.
But, you know, I thought Gill was cute. That's
one thing I could say to describe him positively.
Yeah, like as a shonen protagonist, I don't know that he works all that well, but like his, you know, eternal optimism and his drive and all that, like, I think he's a good character, even though he's one of those like, oh, he's sort of a doofus, but actually he is pretty good and maybe he's smart, but day to day he's sort of silly and doesn't pick up on people being mean and that kind of. And it's like, I enjoy that kind of character.
I don't hate it, just nothing I saw here made me feel like there was like a proper like heart or like meaning to it, because there's a lot of other protagonists. That's what Luffy's kind of like, and I love Luffy because he's not at full tilt all the time. And maybe it's like, again, hi, Shonen jumping the gun, first chapter, maybe different than the other 19 that occurred, but from here it's just like, oh my gosh, slow down. Like, we just swap between, like, we're bantering for two panels and now we're doing a serious thing, and it's very like manic, but not in like a fun Roboco and me way where I act like it's like a bump of drugs.
Yeah, I would need to read more chapters to sort of get a feel if like
things settle.
Yeah, if the manga had just the need to get everything in as soon as possible, or if that's just how they write.
I don't know. Again, here's my reading forward from reading this of, like, I feel like if there's a lot shoved in, but it clicks together, you're like, okay, this is moving quickly, but like you just want to shove it in. And here it's just like, I feel like I go back to the word manic, where it's like, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this. Okay, his father killed everybody. We have to get out of town. Yeah, I'm on the island. Okay, now there's this lady, and like it just feels, it's like a little kid really excitedly telling you a story. And this, and then, and he had an axe, and he spun, and he like.
And he couldn't be beaten
exactly.
with his axe.
When he had an axe, he couldn't be beaten. It's Axe Cop. It's Brad, it's Axe Cop. He was a little boy and he found the perfect axe. And he became Axehead Gill. Why isn't he Axehead Gill?
At the one part where he comes back from getting kicked onto the ship and he like blocks all the townspeople from killing her.
He single-handedly blocks an entire town's worth of adult people.
But his head was all frozen. That's where the ice head comes from. Yeah. I feel like this could have been a better first chapter if they left out the dad part at the beginning. And they were just like, this is Gill. He lives on Urchin Island. He's doing some stuff. You see maybe some conflict with the townspeople. Give him a little thing to do near the end of the chapter.
Let me know his dad. Like, they drop you in media res, but not the good kind.
Well, no, I think you can do a flashback for that in a later chapter.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They show a picture of him, but they don't show it in the beginning. So that's why in the notes I was like, I'm assuming this is his father. I've never seen this character before, but he's telling him, he's reminiscing on a lesson he got, but it's not like a full flashback. Like, what's shorter than a flashback? It's a flash snap.
Yeah.
It's just like
one
here,
panel.
He's remembering, it's one panel, you see this man you've never seen before, they don't clarify that it's his father, just to say savagery is not strength.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen much anything else for that to, like, it's not a bad lesson and a theme to go around, but there's not enough other examples of savagery to make, like, any sense. It feels like just the author was like, yeah, Vinland Saga. Hey, very fitting to a recent episode we put out of the main podcast. We talked about Vinland Saga. That good Vikings. This bad Vikings. Not all over the place Viking. Did not do research. Not that you have to, but like.
I think it could have been better paced. Like the whole thing with the one guy that washes up and then Gill beats him. That should have been the end of the chapter. That it's like, oh my gosh, he's actually really good. That's a surprise thing that you get.
You keep the first chapter length. You make everything before that take a little bit more time.
A lot more time, I'd say.
And then you could end with that. And it's not just like off the island to the next thing.
Like have him spend more time seeing him be in some sort of conflict with the villagers. The one villager who actually is the only one who apparently matters, who is the childhood friend of the woman, like who
looks like
he's just dead now.
He looks like a guy from Game of Thrones. Is it Stark or something?
Game of Thrones?
I think so. He also looks like the one hunter guy from Faraway Paladin.
Oh yeah, Restov.
Just like the black hair and the black cloak, and he's got like a little sword and like.
But I think what you could have done is like
spend emotional time on anything.
Yeah, spend a little bit more time with him. So then in the next chapter or the chapter after that, when the Lich finally shows up and gets him, there's some emotional weight to it instead of like, oh, I'm supposed to feel sad because they're telling me right now that they were childhood friends.
Yeah, or that like Noah loses an arm, but then he leaves the island, so it's like, well, who cares?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Who cares?
Like, you gotta let this stuff breathe. You can have a good 50-page first chapter and get enough information in there for us to get interested in the series.
Yeah.
Without having to like dump everything out right away.
It was frustrating having to read this morning to get ready to write the summary. Literally pissed in my cheers because normally what I read in the morning, I'm continuing my way through One Piece and 1/3. I just got to meet all the supernovas. It's popping off. That's what I want to read, but no, I have to read Icehead Gill again. I have very short, just to, I guess, actually no, let's get into the things and then I'll use my very short distance future sight. We'll put a sound effect in.
All that said,
You liked it, right? You always liked it.
I liked it.
Of course you liked it.
I thought it was cute, and there was some interesting stuff going on with like, oh, liches come back and take people over and stuff.
I steeple my fingers. And go, oh, the worst first chapters of manga. The worst I can find until he breaks.
I thought it could be better.
Yes.
But I like the character of Gill. I like some of the world building that they were doing. I didn't think it was bad enough to not spend any time with.
Okay. What do you think then will happen next? I can also actually weigh on this a little bit.
That's a
Where do you think it's going?
I mean, I thought that this could be one that could go for a really long time because he's set up right at the beginning of like, okay, there was these 7 guys and the dad supposedly killed them and killed the prince. And so first you got to figure out what happened there. And probably what happened is like all 7 of those guys and the prince got taken over by liches. And so the dad had to kill him. Like that's what actually happened because the dad.
But that's the mystery already. Over. Like they've already given you every piece of information to know the supposed big mystery of the series.
No, but here's
is already
the thing.
Solved from chapter 1.
Because
duh.
What then happens, and the way that this extends out, is that those liches didn't actually get killed. So they've shown that you have to burn the lich.
You have to. Yeah, you said okay. No, okay. I'll give you that.
Since they didn't get burned, they probably escaped, and they're still out in the world. So Gil's going to have to go after them and put them down to avenge his father.
So we have to get through some BS to actually get to the thing we want to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's how it goes.
Like, let me wait at least more than the beginning chapter to have the mystery. That
well,
like,
no,
it
and that's
for itself.
yes, that I agree.
Bad.
Like I said, they could have better paced the first chapter. But
so you think he's got that?
Yeah.
I would say I would agree with that. I think that's a good thing. I think also in my joy of One Piece, when you get to just have a boat around a fantasy world that you can just stop at islands and have cool adventures wherever you are. My very limited future sight, I think, knows that.
I have a question. What was propelling his boat at the end? His little one-child boat that he was going off the island on. What was that?
He just like spun his axe. That's not actually what. I don't know.
I don't. It's like
I don't know if this world
like
has magic outside of liches.
Which
it probably does. I'm sure.
It's like the last page, and he's just like Scooty Puff Jr. just flying off there.
Puff Jr.
That's what it was.
I don't even know what that is.
That's from Futurama.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, don't think. Again, this whole first chapter. Don't think too hard.
Okay.
Small baby, do not think.
I like manga.
There you go. There you're saying your true feelings.
Gill have axe. Gill can't be beat.
Gill, tiny baby can't be beat. Has axe, unbeatable with axes. Nuh-uh. When will he find his flute Viking to go along with his axe Viking? Is he get a bard at some point?
Gill is just tiny pawn in game of life.
I'm trying to remember other things from Axe Cop. So, but now that we've said what we think and what we think will happen, Brad, what is your I'm trying to think of a fun name for this, and I'm going to waffle on it on air for funsies. Maybe if you've got one, please write in, because I'd love like a fun cowboy shooty gun, name for this final.
My quick draw.
Your quick draw, yeah.
Is I think it'll live, which is not
which is
correct.
Wrong because it died recently.
I read it and I was like, I think there's enough here, and then I was like, wait a minute, is this the one that got canceled already?
Yeah. This one, when we originally made the list, and we made plans to do this episode, because I'm going just back chronologically, it had not been canceled at that point. Yeah. It was in the air that it was probably going to happen, but it hadn't been confirmed. And now it's like, you go to that page, there's no next chapter. 20 chapters, done.
Yeah.
When I searched Icehead Gill in Shonen Jump on the website, it refused to show up under series.
Really?
It just showed up under free chapters of manga.
Interesting.
Even though I typed in Icehead.
I thought it would. I thought there was enough there that it would like keep people's interest, and not like, a top front of the magazine one, but like just a mid tier. This is a fun adventure story that people are keeping up on.
Why? What in that first chapter gave me reason to keep going? He bested every challenge that was put in front of him. The mystery's already been solved, and I've been shown No major character development or like meaningful things happening. The fight scene isn't even a fun fight scene. He just spins. He just says a name. He goes 0 spin something, weasel hunting or something, and then he just is drawn in a single what?
Caribou.
That's later. That's
how he beats the Lich.
That's one spin. That's how he beats the Lich. The Lich, one of the powerful beings. He can defeat right out of the gate. It's like why? Why bother?
That was just a low level Lich.
Sure, I guess, but like there's no stakes. There's no mystery. Certified flop spin on its grave.
I agree with all your points.
I know, but it will not change your position.
No, here's the thing. I don't think the logistics of a series is what matters. I don't think, we have to set up a mystery. I don't think...
Because that's what makes a story compelling, Brad. If a thing is not compelling, why would you... Like, I want to know out of a gross curiosity, but I'm not going to read it because this first chapter spit in my fucking cornflakes. And it was like, I'm going to go look up if somebody's made like a wiki thing or just ask the Flop Discord because I'm going to, somebody's read it. Because this is before I fully got on with the Death Cult. But also, like, I hate this because, like, I looked back on it because I was starting to read on the app by this point. I made it 2.5 chapters in before I said, I can't. Give that credit to Mama Yu. I read the new Mama Yu chapter yesterday. I keep reading it. As much as I don't like Mama Yu, it does not piss in my cornflakes. I read it. Usually I read it, and then I read MMA. I read One Piece if there's a One Piece, and then I get Mama Yu out of the way, and then I go read MMA to make myself happy. Mama Yu, as much as I spat on, it's great. Like, I need deeper... You need more middle rating sections to have. I need deeper levels of, like, I spit, and there was a loogie... I spit and there was like blood or throw up or something. I took a dump on the grave.
The very bottom is like, we didn't even bury this. We just left it on the side of the road.
Yeah. Well, no, it's already dead. I want to disrespect the dead. If there's, I'm gonna need to make a deeper layer. I'm gonna make a new rating system just for us because I need new levels of disrespect.
I don't. Listen, it's not good, okay?
No.
I will freely admit that.
I got ornery having to read this and write a summary about it. I was not happy about it. And I offered to do it.
I don't think that, like, there's specific rhymes or reasons for why things become super popular or not.
Yeah. The next one we're going to talk about, like, I mean, I get it. Cut that. You're not supposed to know the next time. I keep forgetting that. Cut all this.
I thought it was fun. I am currently reading worse things than this.
Exactly. This is why when you eat trash, you have no taste.
It's not. It's just junk food.
It's trash.
It's not.
It's the worst chips.
Yeah.
But you have other chips. There's so many other better chips.
Maybe, but I ate those ones already.
A glutton who would not be satisfied with all the riches of heaven. Isekai Sensei Sama Brad. How the heck do we end this podcast? I don't remember. Thanks, everybody, for listening. That was another episode of Shonen Jumping the Gun covering Icehead Gill. If you'd like to play along at home, you can join us on, not our own Discord, but you should do that, on the Shonen Flop Discord, where I hold the flop pools as new series start up. And as you heard with this one got axed. So there'll be a new thing to occupy that space very soon. You can go on there and put your own vote in of our voting system, and we'll mark it down and giggle tee-hee at them or go, ha ha ha, I was right the whole time, as the chapters go by. So we'd love for y'all to join us. And with that, Brad, hit me with them plugs.
So, as always, we want to thank Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Sugoi Mart's a retailer of Japanese snacks, drinks, toys, and merch. They've got a lot of cool stuff you can't get outside of Japan. You can check the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off your first order. And you can let us know what you think on social media, which you can find links for on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. You can also leave comments about these podcast episodes and also find other posts and reviews. We've got a Discord where you can chat with us and check out our Patreon. Supporters get perks like getting to vote on which series we cover on heroin addiction, as well as getting the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early. And we'd love to hear what perks you'd like. And, of course, we can't forget our patrons. We need to shout them out. First off, at our Reincarnator tier, we have Cake Dwarf and Moon. Next, at our Merchant tier, we've got Kill Hour,
And last but certainly not least, at our commoner tier, we've got Rena. Thanks so much.
Thank you once again for listening. Make sure you listen to the Mainline podcast, That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster. And Brad, no one can beat me when it comes to podcasts.